TE Media presents Kaiju Vision Godzillathon. After a decade, Godzilla returned. Toho was trying to find a way to bring Godzilla back. Originally planned a remake called Rebirth of Godzilla. These scripts were heavily influenced by contemporary sci-fi movies of the time, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Thing being a favorite of mine. Godzilla vs. the Devil and Godzilla vs. Gargantua were other scripts that never materialized. Toho really struggled to find its way with Godzilla after the struggle financially of Terror of Mechagodzilla. They really want to return to the dark and anti-nuclear war themes of the original. Bigger budget, new look, he comes back as the bad guy. They combined elements of the scrap scripts to help further him from the good guy, kid-friendly Showa era Godzilla movies. The suit took 2 months to construct. They put it on a statue that resembled the final product, piece by piece. Of course, the original actor this was designed for resigned. It was 240 pounds and was not meant for the new guy, who previously was Gigan and Hedorah in Showa era movies. He had trouble filming for longer than 10 minutes. He actually lost, I think, 12 pounds or so. Inspired by the 76 King Kong film, they decided to build an animatronic for close-ups. The animatronic's name was Cybot. The movie that ended up coming out was a direct sequel to the original 54 Godzilla, kind of like the requels we get with a lot of horror movies nowadays. When Godzilla shows up, he pretty much destroys everything. The effects definitely are a step up from the Showa era. Though I gotta say, Cybot looks pretty bad, especially in HD in some of the close-ups. This movie, interesting, starts off with a scene straight out of a horror movie with sea lice. The only survivor on the boat says he saw Godzilla, and everyone thinks he's crazy till the government tells him he's not crazy and be quiet about it. Classic. This is during the Cold War, so the tension between the Soviet Union and the US is a big plot point. The Soviet sub is destroyed by Godzilla, so Japan has no choice but to tell the world about Godzilla's return to prevent a nuclear war. This is one of 3 movies that Godzilla's solo in, but he fights Super X in this, which is pretty cool. They find out that Godzilla's heart's kind of like a nuclear reactor, so their idea is to kind of slow it down. They fire some missiles into his mouth that kind of puts Godzilla to sleep, and then he's woken up from an EMP from an explosion. This is from the US stopping a Soviet missile, which I think was going to Godzilla, but in the American cut, it's going at Japan directly. The fight, like I said, with the Super X is pretty cool. He chases down Super X, and the way he finally defeats it is by dropping a skyscraper on it, because why not? Godzilla continues his rampage, even more enraged now, so they decide to lure him towards a volcano. They do the classic way of beating him by burying him in a mountain, just like from Godzilla Raids Again. Once he's lured at the volcano, they shoot some missiles, and he falls into the lava instead of snow this time. The original American cut added Raymond Burr, just like in the original. The Japanese cut's definitely better. The plan for the American originally is to make it into a comedy with like Leslie Nielsen, because Naked Gun movies and all that were big then. Luckily, Burr was opposed to that, because Godzilla was supposed to be a metaphor for nuclear destruction. The parts of the American cut were filmed in 3 days, with Burr's being filmed in a day. Like I said, not very good. You're better off watching the Criterion Collection cut or watch the full Japanese version. This is an okay movie. I'd say maybe watch the highlights. It's the weakest of the 3 solo Godzilla movies, though.